Well, fuck. Good morning. It is May 13th. Yeah, that's a song that I played for Jack Meal. He was like, "Oh yeah, we can do a whole jazz album, man." And I was like, "I don't know if I'm ready for that." And he says, "Yeah, like I got killer players, so be sure that you're ready." Like, maybe I'll go record the uh, the rock album or whatever that I have stuff for. Be easier. Jazz musician is going to be intimidating. Like secession guys. Not secession, the session players. Session players can be intimidating. Especially if they start asking me about, oh, are you doing this? Insert musical, highly musical educated phrase. And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't intend to do that. If that, or I don't know how to describe it like you because I don't have a formal education. But yeah, sure. Like, what you're doing sounds great. Oh, um, oh. Hey, caveman, you've been trying to join the Discord, and you got some kind of weird tech glitch. Um, okay, that was an introduction and a song. Um, let's do this shit, man. We'll get to the comments and after the formal introduction. There's the comments and yeah, coping and over coping. This should be interesting. Roll it. All right. Rock and roll McDonald's. Okay. I don't know if you have a way to add me as a friend there, Caveman. I might be able to help you with the Discord issue. I'm pretty sure you need two-factor authentication on the server. I set that up for security. A lot of the Discords that I was in, I say a lot, there were two other Discords I was in related to Scientology stuff, and two-factor authentication was not enabled. And I'm like, and there's shitloads of people in there. I'm like, huh? That's not secure at all. I mean, I know it's 2024 and there's tons of us have talked about Scientology, but we're still talking about Scientology, and therefore, certain things like security might want to, you don't have to go ape shit on it, but, standard security measures, what would be considered kind of standard, two-factor authentication, verify people's identities and whatnot. I'm not saying that's what that is in your case, caveman, but I can help. I can try to help you sort it out. I'm looking here on the server, and I should be doing other shit. Okay. Good morning, Lorna. Uh, you're still fit to be tied, whatever that means. Cold turkey continues. Somebody from the local mental health crisis team finally phoned me on Friday. Good. Good. Sympathetic to my cause, she and her supervisor. That's good. You may be able to get some kind of that happened to me in Sacramento uh, at I forget what hospital. Cynthia would know, but it was a doctor and a concerned registered nurse at the or nurse practitioner at the hospital because there were the withdrawal point it gotten to a point where they're like we probably should help this dude, and what they ended up prescribing was um, there's the generic name and then I got the generic version. It's used for alcohol withdrawals, and it is a benzo, but the half life is ridiculously long. So with one prescription of that, I could take one of those, and it would be like 3 days before I needed anything. Um, I can't. It's too damn early. I haven't had enough caffeine to tell you the name of this drug, but I will tell my brain to remember it, and at some point in this broadcast, I will remember it. Okay. But that is good news, potentially. Yeah, if they're going to call you back, it's great. Because then it'd just be, you go into I guess, the ER, and they'd just already be ready for you. But deep breaths, breathe. Gotta breathe. And as crazy as it freaking sounds, try to find, like, in each moment, gratefulness for that moment. Just go, like, dive head in, buy the ticket, take the ride mentality, and try to be lighthearted about it, because it can get heavy and dark fast. So just try to keep it light and take it easy on yourself. Good morning, Brian. How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. And it sounds to me from what the last couple of weeks you got some work done, and that's good before the summer heat starts kicking ass. Uh, Good morning, Cynthia. Lorna, are coming over tomorrow. Okay, advocate. Does this sound positive? Yeah. It sounds positive. That all sounds good. Lorna, don't even worry about Discord right now. just keep on breathing. Um, and keep it light. Do some self care or badass maintenance, whatever you want to call it. And if it gets freaky, just get freaky with it. Um, Cave ma'am, I hope you're provided with good actionable paths to take. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Cynthia. Whitney, what's up? You're gonna dig it. Um, I'm sorry for all the drum sound noise making things that come out of my face. Uh, Barb, good morning, Barb, from Durham, North Carolina. Monday the 13th is moderately more and less creepy than Friday the 13th. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty funny. Okay, similar thing in the poetry world, and poets can be very pretentious. Yeah, uh, they sure can. Yeah, you ain't wrong. I mean, who's that really famous poet? There's a lot of them. Jack Kerouac. Uh, and the guy that Ram Dass hung out with, I forget. Um, Tim Greenglass, clonazepam. What about it? Um, yeah, with that, there's withdrawal. The withdrawal of this stuff, depending on your dosage, is fucking hell. So, um, yeah, I'm currently doing a regimen of meditation and medication. So, uh, but you can get by just on the meditation. But it does kind of suck to have to use the meditation to get through the withdrawals. But it can be done. I'm not a medical professional, yada yada. Getting freaky. All right. Looks like I'm caught up. And so let's do this. Overcoping. This, and if anybody has any questions, I guess do the thing where you put it all caps because sometimes I'll miss it. Or just use the @ and I should see that in highlight. Any questions? Any? Because I've been going on 3 weeks, and I've got 4 days right now of just basically chill, go get the kids, and the rest of the day is free. So yeah, the last 3 weeks, I'm just pure. It's been pure adrenaline in the limbic system. My whole limbic system's just been going wow, 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 full tilt. Adrenaline, cortisol, uh, adenosine, norepinephrine, uh, all those chemicals. How's my foot? So hey, Sophia. Allen Ginsberg. Yes, Tim. That's who I was thinking of. Thank you. Uh, wow, Brian got to see Allen Ginsberg do a lecture in the '90s. That's fucking rad, man. One of my mentors, Leslie Berman, grew up in that part of New York where a bunch of shit was going on in '70s, and she met him and a whole bunch of other people. She met. That's how she got into the publishing and music business. Pete Seeger. She met Pete Seeger, became good friends with Pete Seeger, and still does his estate. It's a nightmare of a job, and it's job security for life, that's for sure. Okay. So, yeah, what was I saying? I'm like, yeah, a lot of chemicals. And it gets hard to sleep for at all. That's great wording. It gets hard to sleep at all. Man, 2 to 4 to 6 hours at a time. Because once I get enough adrenaline and all these chemicals pumped into my body, they stay, it's a self-perpetuating thing. It's the same part of the brain that does fight or flight. But if you are, I guess, if your limbic system is that active all the time, which seems to be common with complicated or complex post-traumatic stress, because your limbic system has been, activated so many times and it takes a while to wind down to to get out of the fight or flight mode. Well, one of the coping skills that I possess and many others do as well is disassociation, or you can just say dissociation. I don't know. That's probably not the grammatically correct way to say it. I should look into stellate ganglion blockers. That sounds real fancy. Sounds expensive. It's the cheapest drug you can ever do. It turns bad feelings into good feelings. You don't want no part of this shit, do we? Oh no, I think I definitely do. Right. So dissociation. And when I disassociate, there's different levels of it. Because I can disassociate a little or I can disassociate completely. And last week, Ira was here. This is a person, a big trigger for me, historically. And my mother and my brother and my other brother and Dale and my brother Dale and my other brother Dale. But the circumstances have changed so much in the time that has passed, basically since 2021, when the onset of Alzheimer's seemed to have happened. Now things are kind of in a slow burn state, and the memory for him, there's a lot of it that's gone. So, which is good for everybody but him. So, it's a weird disease to be around, because regardless of how you feel about the person, the person changes so much, and they slowly disappear. Their personality that you knew for decades, just you'll see little pieces of what used to be, and attitudes and behaviors and whatever demeanors that used to be present, and then it changed over the years, and they'll pop up and then disappear, and then they disappear, and then they don't come back. So it's a slow disappearing act. The person disappears, and it's odd, to see a person disappear even though they're there. Look into Jamie Mustard. He's an ex-Church of Scientology who has done quite a few interviews about it, most recently with Natalie Webster. Interviews about what? Good morning, Alex. Good morning. If it's morning where you're at, man, your schedule like all twacked out. Good morning, Amy. I saw you earlier. I didn't say anything. I just did the emote. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. How you like this swamp ass weather? So Sophia. Ira has a. It's funny because I invited him on the broadcast. I was like, hey, there's these people that, they know quite a bit about you. He's like, he was like, okay, but he is such a busybody that when I was doing it, he's just like, he forgot that I was doing it and he's off doing other shit. Now, for a year and a half, I couldn't even see this guy. Um, the it wasn't even safe for me to come in and visit my kids because I had no way to cope with him. And if he showed up, I couldn't trust that I would be able to cope. Je comprends. It is what it is. I'm not saying I'm a great person, but I do want to see my kids, and I've been working on these fucking coping skills for years now. Somewhere I knew this was gonna fucking happen eventually, one way or the other, and I to be honest, it's actually working out okay because the stereotype of someone who was an asshole their whole life gets Alzheimer's and then suddenly becomes docile, and also the stereotype of someone who was very good and nice, like say a good father, someone that was nice to their kids, turning into a complete psychotic asshole after getting Alzheimer's. Both of those things have happened to many people that I know. It's a stereotype for a reason. It doesn't always, it's not the rule, it's just a stereotype, but there is a reason for it. And in this case, like I see the docility just, oozing out. And not only that, but like patience. Like I've never seen a man more patient with everything. It's fucking insane. All right. It is what they call in Scientology out reality and what they call in psychology cognitive dissonance. But it's okay. It's manageable. It's not ideal, it's not great. It's not even really okay, but it's manageable. It's manageable. Uh Having to tell him to leave his own house over and over was difficult, but that was the arrangement. So he had to be reminded. And I also am not too naive to think that he was probably trying to test the boundaries still. It's just part of who he is still. Um, Currently coffee in bed. Hey, happy Mother's Day to your mother, belated. Uh, Fiona Ross, fantastic musician, virtuoso, really. Like, God, don't try to set the bar high or anything. Um, Interviews about the latte ganglion blocking and its benefits. That sounds like is this person also into um what's that, mycology? Is there into mycology? Because mushrooms I have to stay away from. Even the non hallucinogenic ones because they do cause me hallucinate for some reason. I don't need that. Not all. I haven't tested obviously all of them, but um, yeah, I've eaten so many damn mushrooms, man. It took 0.02 grams to give me a full ride on psilocybin cubensis. And last time I did that was in March of 2021, and I don't need to do it again. I don't need it anymore, um, especially after the experience I had in January. So let's see. I've been thinking. Oh, you're in L.A., Alex. Ah, good morning then. It is morning over there. It's 8:30, bruh. What? Well, be safe out there, man. Stay safe. I know. Are they still doing the COVID stuff over there? I don't know. I don't want to ask too many questions about what you're doing over there. But feel free to volunteer any information if you got any. Uh, Regarding disassociation, Amy, um, on bad days, my oldest ends up disassociating and missing hours of time. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that happens to me too. I just like zero productive activity usually happens. Zero. Um, because if I'm having a bad day like that, like it's everything I can do to just stay present in the moment and and keep breathing and whatnot. So and you know, meditation, if you're a practitioner of it in a traditional form or whatever, or prayer, it can be a powerful dissociative. Um, so that is actually the method that I employed to develop my coping skills in that in that regard. So uh, Mother's Day in UK was in March, but thank you. Okay, yeah. Um, 3 grams, yeah, that's enough, dude. I mean, you don't have to go hero dose. Um, Although I say that, but if someone has never done a hallucinogen like that, I think in most cases, as long providing that their brain is fully developed, I don't recommend doing it without a fully developed brain, and I didn't know that the brain didn't fully develop until you were 26, so around that age, early 20s, so early to mid 20s, but I didn't wait that long, so uh, but I can actually see why that would be way more beneficial to have a solid brain integrity before you start going, okay, introduce this drug at a high enough dose to basically show you what happens when everything connects up in there. I think it's a very powerful and transforming experience, and but it's not for everyone, and it can induce psychosis and induce all kinds of stuff, you know. So a fully developed brain, I think, is a good uh, hard requirement. Uh, Else, at your own risk, because you don't, like I said, I mean, you don't have to necessarily have a fully developed brain. Uh, and no one, who the hell even really knows what a fully developed brain is? I don't know if you could convince me that anyone does. Um, yeah, that's what, Alex. Okay, people in masks in LA still. It's like, hello, look around. What is the problem with laws is that when you pass them, they're incredibly difficult to get rid of. So they must have passed laws. And yes, pandemic, bad, wear your masks, all that, whatever. But like when you pass a law like Willie, like instantly, when you pass a law like that, don't pass laws like that, like because they're really hard to get rid of, and that seems kind of Orwellian. Uh, Anyways, there may not be a law, but I remember Doug talking about how ridiculous it was over there, and he just hated it. I wish she would have just moved, man. Same in Portland, Oregon, too. Okay. Uh, yeah, I mean, there is nothing fucking wrong with wearing a mask, period, even before COVID. I don't know what the big deal is. People in Japan caught on to this years ago. Like, if you got a cold and are sick, it's kind of polite to wear a fucking mask when you go shopping for groceries because there's people touching all this stuff. So, I just don't get it. It's America and the freedom thing. It's like you can't make me wear. You can't make me do shit. Jesus. All right. What happens? I was curious. This is going to be as new for me as it is for y'all. So we're going through this together. I was curious. What happens when you overcope? Like you have coping skills and you employ them and you employ them and you employ them and you deploy them. It's like they're just permanently deployed. Permanently deployed coping skills, almost like, you know, a fucking a base. You've got your bunker that you can retreat to. Above the bunker, you've got barricades and HESCO barriers. Beyond that, you've got caution signs. So this is your deployed coping setup, whether it's a network of people or a combination of that and your own practices. So what did I do? Whitney, you're going to... I'm curious of what your response is going to be to this. Can I? Yeah, I can close the sidebar. All right. I used a prompt. One prompt, GPT 3.5. And where's my commentary? There we go. GPT 3.5. Morning, Martha. Bon matin. Commencez la... I can't read. It's too small. Comment les a fait? Laissez faire. De lundi, de mardi. Wednesday and Thursday. But after that, got some road trips to make. Comment ça va? Et comment tu vas? It's good to see you. Nico Rasu. Not saying there's not saying there's mash machinations, but there could be mask machinations. Oh man, I don't know what that means, man. That's very obtuse, Nick. So one prompt, I wanted to know, is there such a thing as burnout from using too many coping skills? The pre-trained transformer. People need to be disabused of the convenient descriptions of AI. So this is a language model. It's a pre-trained transformer. And it is pre-trained to respond to prompts. In other words, queries from humans. using our language and all the information that we have given it. The collective we. And while they don't understand feelings, this is what GPT says. I have proof in the it's either a hallucination or it's proof that GPT has feelings that just aren't the same as human feelings. I got it to correct itself and clarify. Anyways, single prompt is there such a thing as burnout from using too many coping skills? I skimmed over it before the broadcast, but we're going through this together. Is it possible? Well, later, Alex. Yeah, definitely wear a mask mowing. I do the same thing. Hope you have a good, productive day, Alex, out in LA. Dum 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 dum. So, yes, it's possible to experience burnout from using coping skills excessively. I'm going to switch back to this and read this for you. Coping skills are strategies individuals use to manage stress, anxiety, and difficult emotions. While coping skills are generally helpful, relying on them too heavily or using them in an unsustainable manner can lead to burnout. Here's how it can happen. Number one. Now, when I skimmed it earlier, these bullet points are bolded out, and I saw that first one, and I'm like, yeah, totally. Over resilience. If someone depends solely on coping skills to deal with every stressor or challenge without addressing the underlying issue causing distress, they may eventually become overwhelmed. But if you get really good at it, then you can just do it like endlessly. There will be a point, though. It's not wrong. There will be a point where combined with some of these other things. Number two, diminished effectiveness. Coping skills may lose their effectiveness over time if used excessively. What once worked well may become less helpful, requiring more effort or new strategies to achieve the same results. And I think that this is a big, open door to substance abuse in many cases. Number three, neglect of self-care. Constantly focusing on coping can lead to neglecting other aspects of self-care, such as proper nutrition, exercise, sleep, and social connections, which are crucial for overall well-being. Using our language, this pre-trained transformer knows that humans need nutrition, exercise, sleep, and social connections. It's crucial for our well-being, and it knows that. Number four, increased pressure. Putting pressure on oneself to constantly cope with stressors can create additional strain and contribute to the burnout. This is like a modifier. These seem to all sort of be skills that you can employ and overemploy and deploy that can, if they're not properly balanced, it can lead to some serious burnout. Emotional exhaustion. Continuously using coping skills without respite can lead to emotional exhaustion, making it harder to manage stress and emotions effectively. So, on that particular one, I find that whenever I have deployed these, dissociative coping skills and stuff, that after during exposure to whatever it is I'm coping with, prolonged exposure to it, I become less useful of a friend. I become less useful of a partner. I become less useful in certain things. Uh, Usually because I reserve that, because where I'm at, it's there's a stressor. There was a stressor here for 8 days on top of the 2 weeks previous where I'd moved everything and then took another trip back and made another haul back, and then the stressor shows up. So I was already had a bunch of stresses going on, but I'm coping, and then the big one shows up, and dissociative stuff is how I coped with that. But I was exhausted after 2 weeks. So right when the point came where my adrenaline started to uh, I was experiencing adrenaline fatigue, which is sort of like a natural come down from those kind of stressors or whatever, the moving and all that. Um, I immediately got hit with another major stressor, so that's when the sleep 2 to 4 to 6 hours at random times and not good sleep for 8 days. And so that got stacked on top of the other stuff. So, yeah. At the end here it says it's important to strike a balance, which I was gonna say that, between using coping skills and addressing your underlying issues. Practicing self-care and seeking support when needed are important. Variety in coping strategies and knowing when to seek professional help are also essential for maintaining mental health and preventing burnout. So I'm lucky that I have a great therapist and I have a great psychiatrist. And like I said, right now it's a regimen of medication and meditation. Um, and my personal belief is that, if the medication doesn't work, yeah, okay, if I don't take the medication, I can get through the withdrawals uh, with meditation alone. And I can also cope with all this stuff. But I gotta say, as sort of a, not caveat emptor, but just caveat, um, it has taken me a long time to develop coping skills, I have worked a lot on them. So, and I've talked to my psychiatrist and my psychologist about how uh, it's mostly my therapist that is like, you know, testing me on my coping capabilities. But it's out of it's out of serious concern. Um, so far so good. I'm really like after the broadcast, like I got nothing to do but go pick up my son And my mom likes to go pick up Stella, so and hang out. And I don't know if you can see it from this camera. Yeah, that big TV back there on the left, that side. Stone loves watching shit on that. And the nature show, our planet, the David Attenborough thing. He hadn't watched it yet. I don't think his mom likes watching boring stuff like that. So, yeah. Uh, Lorna, like a total mental meltdown. Well, that's as you I think of it in terms of like gaming because I'm a gamer and I like RPGs and building characters and seeing what the world can throw at them and how they survive and like what how they survive, how they are able to adapt and cope. But that is based on your choices putting attributes into this character. Um, and I look at like doing therapy and self care, whatever, badass maintenance, um, is like like restorative. In video games, you can get debuffed. Like say, you have 10 points of Constitution, but you you happen to walk down a dark alley and see someone cut up, and it's like a Black Dahlia murder. Well, now for the next day, you will suffer -3 Constitution. So it's called a debuff. And I look at the coping skills like that. The coping skills are like skills in a game, whereupon you can sort of gird yourself or passively uh, tank, which means defend, against the stressors. And so if you build the character right, um, you don't have as much to worry about. Like you have a buffer, and that buffer can be increased as your skills increase. Uh, to a point to where in a video game you're just like blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I'm being attacked by this. I'm being bombed by that. I'm being shot at by this, but it's no big deal, because I built the character right, or I have the at least I might die, or I might not do as well, but you know, um, there's no lack of tools with which to mitigate and cope with this situation and complete the objective in a video game. But life is not so simple as a video game. Um, Frog in a pot of cold water heating up doesn't end well. Okay, I mean, no, it doesn't. That's the classic analogy of indoctrination, really. Or is there something you wanted to talk about how that happens? And you can't restart life as easily as a video game. Well, how do you know? You know? Maybe it is easy. It doesn't seem easy though, do it? Man, no. So that got us through an hour. Um, let's have a musical interlude. Let me find something to play. I didn't. I had the first song ready to go, but let's see what else we can play. Uh, where is this? All right. Um, hmm. Yeah, we'll play this. This is a composition that was for the Microsoft Game Jam in 2020. This was written right before we went in the studio. the The concept for the arrangement was me and Wilson Dever. Wilson Dever actually did the composition. It's fantastic and fun. It's called Cosmonauts. You know, Cynthia, with her perfect timing there, this is something that she would say while I'm listening to some music, like right at that moment. I just sneezed so hard I pulled something in my lower back. Well, I'm sorry. That's pretty hard. Mm. Barb, I'm glad you liked the interlude, Lorna. Uh, it's fun. It's a fun little piece of music. Um, and for a 2 minute piece, it's well done. Very well orchestrated. Barb says shock is a physiological coping skill. Like when my daughter was killed, I was in shock for a long time, and I think that's partly why I didn't just collapse. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I don't know the numbers on that, but I agree. Um, these things serve a purpose. I think that's why it's been helpful for me to, because sometimes they don't feel like they serve a purpose. The coping skills, they just go on automatic, and it's like, I don't want to feel like this. There's no need. But there may be a need that you're not aware of. And, in therapy, by going through coping skills and different ones, it's kind of like I would compare it to musical instruments. because I'm a musician. Go figure. I'm going to make an analogy with that. So when I learned to play guitar, I focused solely on guitar. And that was all I did for years, nearly 20 years. When I started playing bass, um, I was like, this is easy, whatever, bass, you know? But as I got into playing bass, I was like, wow, bass is really powerful. Bass is controlling and shifting and working with the rhythm in a way that the guitar just cannot. And then um, I had always had a drumming practice from high school up to now, but I didn't always have a drum set. You know, if I have a drum set available, I will play the drums. Cynthia would may want to reconsider some things after I said that, but yes, I play the drums. I am a drummer too. Um, she has a rule. She doesn't date drummers. Well, she's breaking that rule. Uh, Drums are a completely different like mode. And when you play drums and then you transition to a different instrument, you're like, okay, well, what do I do with all that rhythmic information? Like these are melodic, like going from drums to guitar. This is a melodic instrument, but I have all this information and thinkingness from drumming and rhythm. So um, that gets there's transference that occurs through the muscle memory and converting the muscle memory of this and all that to playing guitar or playing bass, and then piano, a whole nother percussive instrument that is also melodic. And every instrument that I've picked up, and I can only assume this is the case for every instrument, you learn something more about the of other instruments. And in the same way, I feel like coping skills, when you develop them, different ones, you learn something new about the other way to cope. And there is also transference. So these coping skills kind of get beefed up, stronger, because you understand them more. You understand the limitations. You know where it will fail you uh, and how far you can go with it, and sort of mitigate your own coping burnout. No. She says I'm not a drummer. I am a drummer. The I just don't have a set of drums, baby. If I had a set of drums, I'd be playing them. You bet. I like playing the drums. I'm pretty good at the drums. When I practice, I can get good. I used to be able to play the interlude in 46 and 2 by Tool. Uh, Note for note. I'm not saying that I played it as good as Dana Carey, but I could play every single note, and that in itself was pretty fucking impressive. Oh, yes, exactly. For drums, you have to move all your limbs at the same time. Therefore, I am not a drummer. How? How is that possible? I mean, I don't have, that's like saying I'm not a guitar player if I don't have a guitar. Was I a guitar player when I didn't have a guitar before I moved to New Orleans? Because I didn't have a guitar. Does that make me not a guitar player? We can have this conversation. I think your logic is flawed. And Sophia, my drum set is called Fries and Is My Belly. Exactly. Because if I'm so bad, I can do paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. You got to work the rudiments. Um, do you got a set of drums, Willie? I love playing the drums too. I really like doing the. I like playing Led Zeppelin. Like I just love John Bonham's style, and it's always like a challenge to do the motorcycle sound that he used to do amazingly. Um, Start with the hi hat, go from there. Hmm. I know my left foot. Uh, it wasn't good 10 years ago, and now my left leg, like my left foot. For me to play drums, I would definitely have to have my own set because, and a special, probably a special drum throne. Um, Bonham had a squeaky drum pedal. Well, yeah, um, you can hear in some of the recordings when he does the double kick, boom, like in the ocean, da 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 dun 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 da 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 da, boom, ba da, ba da. When he does that on the drum pedal, you can hear sometimes artifacts, or they're called artifacts because they're not supposed to be recorded, but or you don't want them ideally in the recording, but that they're there, and that's why they're called artifacts. Power is the key word with John Bonham because that whole making it sound like an engine. He was able to make those drums sound like an engine, like loud enough to be confused for a freaking motorcycle engine. Amazing. If you haven't seen The Song Remains the Same, well, I recommend it. Keith Moon had the power. Yeah, you would have to play with Pete Townsend. I mean, is that the right? Yeah, Townsend. That guy played. His amps were loud, loud, loud. And Jimmy's drummer, yeah. Mm. Are y'all of the age group that would have been able to see some of these bands? Or are you just going off radio stuff? Because I'm amazed. Like, y'all are the kind of people I like to meet in person and have conversations with about, shows and stuff that went on. That's amazing, Martha. That's just fucking amazing. Like, this might be a small little demographic, it shows me there's 14 people, but it's quality over quantity in my world. And I just always seem to jive better with people 20 years older than me, or 30, whatever. My papa was my best friend, and he was 40, 50 years older than me. Um, Sophia, on that comment, good music is timeless. I want to believe that. I want to believe that. But if I believe that, That means that good music needs to be written down and, archived in that format because um, I don't want to write bad music. I'm a musician. I don't want to write bad music. And if I need it, if it's good, then and there's music, it can be performed. But I think about Bach and Beethoven and uh, Bartok and all the composers that end up in my playlist. And to me, that music is timeless, truly, truly timeless. I think a lot of the chansons and folklore songs are timeless too, and they were preserved. They're preserved orally, a lot of them, and some of them are written down. And unfortunately, some of them, the original melodies were lost, and so they found a chanson from and sort of borrowed the melody and put it to the music, or put that music to the words. We sang one in choir one time that was quite hilarious, called I married a wife. She was the plague of my life, and I wish to be single again. It's called I Wish to Be Single Again. And the bass section, we sang this in a church, in a Catholic church of all places. Our choir director and music teacher at Sulphur High, Ross Alured, like a third generation music teacher as a profession. Like, some families have doctor, doctor, doctor. His family had composer, composer, composer. And so I was lucky to have him as my teacher, and even luckier that his son was my friend that I learned a lot of things from on the road uh, and toured with. But we sang this in a Catholic church. I thought it was audacious and awesome that he was, because he totally disclosed this to the class. He's like, "Yo, we're going into a Catholic church. I want to sing this just to see the reaction." So I married, and then the tenors, I married, I married, I married a wife. She was the plague of my life, and I wish to be single again. It was a very tricky piece to do, and the tenors and the altos had the hardest parts. Really strange harmonies, and they had to split the sections at times to get 6-part chords. Um, and there were a lot of like what they call suspensions, where you are singing a chord, and then you suspend a note, or you change a note and turn it into a suspension. It's music stuff, music nerd stuff. A lot of old songs in the Smokies from Ireland and Europe, I hear. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All around Appalachia, there's a bunch of that kind of stuff. And there's a whole tradition of, like, if you ever watched that show, the Wild and Wonderful World of the Whites or something. Jesco White is one of the last generation of uh, like bar dancers, and comes from a culture from coal mining and stuff. People who weren't mining or who were too infirm to do the work, they would go to the mining towns and the bars, sometimes just out in the street. They'd take a piece of plywood and tap dance for money and food. And that tradition was carried on. But they were very poor people, and they still are. You know, the documentary is actually quite sad because they were big time opiate epidemic right in the middle of it. You saw that one, Barb? Yeah, it's kind of it's funny, it's brutal. Uh, there are, you know, references to domestic violence that occurred in their life and stuff, and it's a little disturbing at times, you know, to hear Jesco, who's generally a funny guy and an entertaining guy, be like, "Oh yeah, I told that woman you get them sloppy, slimy eggs out of my house. I just I hit her ass in the head, threw her out on the fucking, told her not to come back." Um, Hendersonville, oh, I used to live not far from there. Um, yeah, Hendersonville is awesome. Uh, Willie, a lot of that was their pay could only be used at that's right, the commissaries, right? Um, and though there weren't like stores, so there were commissaries. If you didn't work at the mine, then how the fuck are you gonna eat, right? That's my deduction. Um, so you know, the poor and infirm that lived around, that were either family or friends or just, you know, uh, native folk, would do whatever they could. You know, you do what you can. I've thought about getting my permit here to go perform because in Lake Charles, I petitioned um, the city to allow street performance. Now, I TR3'd it Scientology style, and they just didn't know what to do with that, but it got it done. And I didn't get credit for it. I don't care. They did a big ceremony thing, and they're like, we're bringing entertainment back in a big way, step by step. You can now pay, which is so ridiculous. You can now pay for a $50 permit, and you can perform at these locations downtown. And I have made money there, and I am not above going and doing it again. But I do not have the $50 for the permit because it's a yearly permit. Who in the fuck at that meeting thought, hey, how about we charge for a permit for the musicians that are out there on the street trying to make money, so that I know what the thinking was behind it, but it's just so fucked up. City of Lake Charles. Um, but what we don't want here in Lake Charles is actual poor people that need the money. So, you know, people who are upstanding. You know, we don't want bums on the street. Question. All right. See, I saw that immediately. That works really well. Is Lake Charles a busy town? Population. Lake Charles is I would describe it as a couple of things. It is a military strategic index target. It is listed in the military strategic index. The SR-71 engine, at least one of them, and maybe a wing, were built here in the 70s, 60s, 70s. And in the 80s, they were testing, and I could hear, we could all hear it, this massive jet engine, you know. Because there's all these industrial plants, they could easily say, oh, that's a decompression going on, or that's a tower blowing off a bunch of oxygen. But you know, it was just, but a very deep, like, you could hear it over the fucking lake. There are two bridges that connect the Lake Charles and its surrounding municipalities, towns, whatever. And The population of Lake Charles itself is around 250,000 maybe, but all of the towns around it make it about probably at this day and age. I don't want to lie. I'm going to get the last census data because I could be way off. Lake Charles, Louisiana population. So it says 79,000 in Lake Charles. All right. But there are rural areas around there. So let me just. Calcasieu Parish doesn't have much. And you can almost count all of these into the Lake Charles population because it's okay. All right. There are 203,761 people in Calcasieu Parish. Most of those people, like, the previous result in Lake Charles is 79,000. So whatever percentage of the parish that is, I mean, that's almost 50%. So 50% of the people of Southwest Louisiana, the lower left parish, we don't have counties here. So that whole parish, majority of the people live in Lake Charles. The rest live in towns right outside of it that are connected via the bridges, or they are in rural and, like, way out in the swamp, natural environments, not city. So, what was the other part of that question? Is it busy? They try to keep it not busy. In fact, I think that, my experience working with the city, working on political campaigns, working with theater groups, working with event productions, working with all of the plant, the industry here, which is petrochemical through IT, and then the government service contracting. It all kind of painted a pretty clear picture that Lake Charles is owned by big oil. And since it's a strategic military target and it is on a list of places to be bombed, and it's also on the I-10 corridor where there's a lot of trafficking of drugs and humans, it's a strategic military index. It's also a security index. So they prefer to not have a lot of civic activity. This is an industrial zone, essentially. And they do have little bits just because people just have to socialize. So they do an art walk and they do an annual series called Live at the Lakefront. They used to do a festival called Contraband Days, but they changed it to Pirate Festival because Contraband Days was too controversial. And what else? They have a couple of fairs. And it's just, just enough bread and circus for the population to feel like, and then Mardi Gras, they do a Mardi Gras thing. But there's lots of private Mardi Gras parties that are out of this world here. They spend ungodly amounts of money for one night. And they don't even, New Orleans is 3 hours that way. I don't know why they don't just do that. Apathy keeps lazy people in power. I would say in general, yes, but there are places in the world that this community has lots of people, including myself, who have gone up against the administration and the powers that be and presented alternatives to what is currently being done, which is like only serving a very small percentage of the population and generally people who have more money. So, but they don't like the poorers out in the street. They don't like the riffraff hanging out after hours. So, Cash App link. I don't know if I have Cash App link. Yeah, I'd totally go get the busker permit. Um, I have, I even have my own spot. It's where the I have a video. I have some videos too. Me playing there. Who else calling me? She, you know. Okay, we're gonna say hi to mom, I guess. Hey, mom, you're on the air.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know
No,
you were on there.
well, it's okay. You don't need to be sorry. Uh,
Okay.
what's up? How's it going?
Okay. I just wanted to ask, are you picking up Stone today or am I?
I can go get him.
Okay. All right. Then I'll go get Stella.
All right, cool.
Okay. And I do have, you know, spaghetti and stuff too to eat.
Okay, I got stuff here too for him to try. I got
Um,
some chips and dips and
okay.
cheeses and stuff for him to.
Okay.
And I got stuff that he already likes too, so Doritos
Oh,
and all that.
okay. All right. Well, I'll go pick up Stella, and if she wants to eat here, I'll bring her to eat here. Then I'll bring her to the house.
All righty.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Every Monday from 10 to 12 is when I do the
Oh.
broadcast. I haven't
Oh.
missed this one. There's other broadcasts that I do, but this one I haven't missed a day
Okay.
since I left New
Oh.
Orleans. So,
Okay then.
so
All
say
right. Well,
hi
I'll
to
let you get back to it.
everybody.
Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Um. Yeah, she makes really good spaghetti. I like it. It's sort of like a Southeast Texas style. It's almost like chili with spaghetti because it's a little spicy and it's ground meat. Not it's not like meatballs and spaghetti. I like it anyways. It's not your typical spaghetti. It's more of a Creole and uh, Cajun uh, recipe. So it's got the bell peppers and the onions and the red peppers and all that, but just regular old fat noodle spaghetti. A spaghetti. Uh, really, no way to donate on the channel page. Where do I go here? They changed shit on YouTube. There used to be a place for me to put links, and I had my PayPal link there. Let me see here. Da, 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 da. A spaghetti. Oh, there you go. There's Venmo or PayPal. I don't even think I have Cash App. And buy me a coffee. I'm just done with it because when you buy me a coffee, look, I can give y'all all the free Lulu barks you want. You don't need to buy me a coffee to get that. Um, where is it? Sound effects, Lulu, and because here's the thing, you donate to buy me a coffee, I get a notification. It has to reach a certain threshold for me to transfer. They use a third party transfer method called Payoneer. That transaction, so you're paying a transaction fee on Buy Me a Coffee to buy me a coffee. Then they take a transaction fee and split it with Payoneer. And then Payoneer takes a transaction fee to transfer the money to the bank. So to hell with it. I'm not doing that anymore. Um, I know it's like, well, that's Lulu mad. Uh, where's Lulu? Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. Lulu, Lulu for you. I'm gonna work at you. This is what Cynthia sings. I wish I one day I'm gonna record it One day I'm gonna get it. So it's in all sound effects. It's gonna be under processed. Processed. There we go. And let's search in here for howl. There's, well, those are, you know what? Easier way. This is what I can use to buy me a coffee for. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's so much, like, if I had to estimate how much money was lost in transactions, over the last 5 months, probably 50 to $60. And yeah, see, I can't withdraw this amount without, because it's not enough. So, and it's taken the $20. It's taken $2, basically $2 out of it, and that's just the first round of it. But integrations, or is it payouts, buttons, and graphics, stream alerts, send test. All right, let me copy this, put this in here, and send test. Is it? Oh, it's muted. It's not on. Here we go. Where is it? There we go. See, I can just do that all damn day long if we want, and just don't go to buy me a coffee. There we go. Yes. That's the Lulu. Yes, yes, indeed. I wonder where the rest of the Lulu barks are. Yeah, in 5 months, Amy, 50 to $60 lost in the fucking transactions. Hey, my blues, what's up? Good evening from Munich. Just sat down for lunch. You want to hear the Lulu Mad? Okay. Well, let's just search Lulu in the general folder here in the filing cabinet and see what all we got, because we got multiple samples of Lulu. That's the best one. I'm going to tell you right now, that's probably the only one you want to hear. But if you're curious, yep, it's populating now. And we'll wait for it to populate. There should be there should be about 8. I remember cutting 8 to 12 samples. And I wonder where the Angry Masturbator video went, because that's something to see. Okay, there's Lulu Mad. I don't want to click out of the Explorer window because it's still searching the hard drive. And if I don't see more of these Lulus, I'm really wondering where the hell these samples went. I may have just one long file that I was extracting these from, and yeah, I don't know. The one with Lulu Mad, I don't know what the deal was, but she was pissed off, and I recorded it. It was whenever Cynthia had moved down here, and she just did not want to be alone with me, I guess. So, and she was being a little shit. And I was trying to, I tried to pick her up because she was going somewhere, and I didn't want her to potty in the house, and she just like go fucking ape shit. Uh, Half Chihuahua, half Shih Tzu. Lulu is never mad? Okay, I'm gonna prove that wrong right now. And she sounds mad, and she also sounds like, "What? Like, get the fuck away from me! I'm scared." Is like she just didn't want to be picked up. She's biting at my fucking hand. Yeah. So Lulu can get mad. Um, Martha, if the PayPal doesn't take anything, just if it asks you, put friends and family, and it's the amount. I get the exact amount. There's no charge that I'm aware of. Now, there may be a charge for you, uh, but it only be one if it is. But if it's friends and family, there won't be one. So if it asks, do friends and family, and then it just transfers directly to bank transfer. But I lost my fucking debit card, and I went to the bank this morning and I ordered a new one, so it'll be a while before I can relink all that and get it transferred. Actually, no. The bank itself is connected to PayPal, so it'll be fine. No, you don't want to be on Lulu's bad side. I don't understand how Cynthia tolerates the creatures in her life, myself included, because I like you just really gotta I mean, in my view, you just really gotta like broken shit, and Lulu be broke as fuck. I mean, like mentally, Lulu's all fucked up. She a Chihuahua, that goes with the territory. Now she only has half her teeth, but she bit me multiple times when she had teeth, and those was nasty, nasty teeth. Mm. Um, yeah, I have a Venmo. There's a Venmo. Oh, well, thank you. Towards the busker permit. Yeah, that'd be great. Uh, only the only other issue is getting to Lake Charles, having the gas, and staying out there long enough to make it worth the gas money because gas is high, and yeah, there were times where the trip wasn't worth the effort. But okay, it charges you 88 cents, so it does charge you, but you know, if you're trying to help, and I do appreciate it, like 88 cents, you paying 88 cents is helping me more than you donating more money and then it getting taken from three different transactional things. It also takes a long time for Buy Me a Coffee. It takes up to 3 to 4 weeks at times, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes a week, but they only process it. Each entity processes it in their own time. So, yeah. Your dog is acting up. Here's one Cynthia playing with Lulu. Oh! Oh! You can hear her singing. Oh boy. Check this out. That's the most I've gotten. That's the most I've gotten. And I bet you didn't know that I got that, did you? I got a picture that I like. This was from a while back. Uh, there's Lulu. She's all gray now, but she could see back then. You know, she was already going blind, but she could still see back at that point in time. Not so much anymore. Um, I sent that to Katie. Yeah, it is cute. I love hearing this shit. Just giving her a bath. And she was singing before that too, but I have to sneak it because she can hear me. So, or she has a sense that I'm gonna record her. I think that with some training, her voice is so powerful. Yes, you are ridiculous. I love it. But the her mother sang opera, can sing opera, and I can hear that in like I don't know. Um, I do miss Zumi, which is was Stella's first dog, and uh, we inherited it. Me and Ira. It's our dog now. But I miss him. He was here for 8 days. It was really nice to. He's a poodle, and he's about 70 years old in dog years, and he's a good boy. He is a good boy. He's not. He can be a little shit, but he's real smart. He's real smart. Like you can talk to him. Um, I can't talk to Lulu. All Lulu cares about is am I in a lap or am I not? And am I licking my private parts on you? Because I need to be doing that if I'm not. And if I'm not doing either one of those things, I need to be barking or going around in circles and making tip 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 sounds. All right, so overcoping, Lorna, no problem. Look at all those emojis. I want to thank all of you for helping me keep the faith. Hey, you got this shit, man. I mean, uh, it's Monday. I like doing something on Monday because it helps me kind of start my week, connect with some people, connect with y'all, and sort of like, reposition myself if I need to and stay on task or whatever. It helps me establish the beginning of a week because I don't have a work week per se. Well, I mean, that's what this is sort of helping me with. Um, and yeah, you totally got this. I mean, it's been 3 weeks at least. I mean, I know it's probably been more like 5 weeks. So, um, hopefully they'll call you and call you in, and maybe you'll get something like the medicine. It is, man. I'm gonna have to Google it, and I hate doing that lately. I like to use my brain instead. Um, oh no, I don't need to Google it. As soon as I said that, chlorazidipoxide. Hold on, let me see if I'm saying this right. Yeah, chlorazidipoxide, um, which is the generic version of chlorazidipoxide. Uh, chlordiazepoxide. That's what it is. Chlordiazepoxide. Um, and then the brand name. What is it called? Librium. All right. So chlorazidipoxide, Librium for post-acute withdrawal of benzodiazepines worked very well for me. That's anecdotal. I'm not a doctor, but once my body went through the basically cold turkey withdrawal of the benzos, um, they gave me chlorazidipoxide. And the reason the doctor stated that he did that was because they use this for alcoholics when they have delirium tremens, and to prevent seizures and whatnot when they're detoxing. So he said that the mechanism for benzos and alcohol are the same. They go through the GABA center of the brain. That's the GABA amino butyric acid that is produced in our brain. And there are there's two differences. There's a major difference between the method of action of benzos and the method of action of alcohol. However, when it comes to treatment, post-acute withdrawal or during withdrawal, it has a 260 something hour half-life. So when you take a dose, at this point, if you haven't had any benzos in your system, your body will hold on to that shit for dear life. And he gave me a bottle of 30, and that lasted me for 2.5 months, and I still had like 6 when I completely gotten off, and it felt great to be off of the benzos. Um, when I talked to my psychiatrist this week, I told her, I told my mom this too. It's like I really don't want to continue this medication, but it is helping, and there is a point where even though this is not a long term medication, there are situations where this medication is providing some benefit and relief. Now, I combine it with medication and meditation, but the goal is to not be on medication as little as possible. So I take two things. I take clonazepam and propranolol as blood pressure, and the clonazepam is actually prescribed for not anxiety, but uh, HPPD, which is a weird disorder that was essentially self-inflicted by me doing tons of hallucinogens as a child before my brain developed. And so these neural pathways that developed that got stuck, like they're there. I mean, the brain can change and neurogenesis can happen. Um, and I do believe that it did when I got off of the benzos in 2019. A whole new brain I got a whole new brain after that. And you probably, it's it's one thing at it, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time, whatever it takes. It's good that you have the. Do you have the propranolol? Because that can take a little bit of the edge off. Just don't overdo it, right? I'm not a medical doctor. I'm just talking about meds, uh, meditation, and medication. Yikes! While hunting cougars at 5 years old, a muscle spasm. Wait, what did I miss here? Hunting cougars. Are you talking about dogs? Man. Yeah, I was told, Lorna, that I could take up to 4. I take 2 a day, but if I can feel my blood pressure, which sometimes I can, like elevated blood pressure, uh, I told to take another and up to 4. But that's good. Twice a week. That's not a lot at all. Yeah, that's a good question. Tiffany's asking, are you looking at your blood pressure? That is something that I did monitor and write down. Just, that'll be helpful for your doctor too. If they, when they, not if, but when they call you back, it that you've spoken before about doctors and pharmacists acting like you're some kind of dopehead. Provide the information, that they're used to seeing. Like, take your blood pressure, write it down, like take it in the morning and the evening for a couple of days, even if you just have a couple of days worth. But if you can actually catch yourself during like one of the withdrawal symptoms and effects and your blood pressure is elevated, they'll be able to see that information, and that definitely seems to help them in realizing that you're not just a drug seeker and drug seeking behavior and all that. So, damn, yeah, 60 milligram ER pills. I like that, Martha. Some people can get off meds and some people can't. You do what you need to be your best. And, I was told by my previous psychiatrist who retired, who went through a lot of research, modern research on HBPD, because she was like, I've heard of what you're describing, and I'm interested in finding out more about it because it's just pretty rare. And she did a whole thing and actually diagnosed me with it. Um, and she told me, she was like, look, and she was just about to retire, and she'd been doing this for a long time. Uh, she she said, look, as far as like taking meds, like she basically said what you said, Martha. Some people need to take them for the rest of their life, and some people can quit. Um, you do what you need to do. You make that choice for yourself, and don't beat yourself up over it if you can't get off of it, because there was a reason you were prescribed it. But at the same time, she also acknowledges and recognized that schedules of medicine change, and committing yourself to a lifetime sentence of a medication means that you may face the shitty reality that an insurance company is no longer going to cover it, or the medication gets discontinued, or this or that, or this or that. And that's just something that, you know, goes along with what the treatment uh, is for. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be on some form of medication the rest of my life. The 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 fact that I even take psych meds is kind of a big deal. Um, my ex-wife is still one of the things we agreed on early on was that we don't like psych meds and we don't want our kids drugged, and that's now becoming a problem. Not saying I want the kids drugged. I know that she doesn't, but it's become a point of paranoia for her to where she won't even sign a simple release for the kids to be seen because she's afraid that someone is going to recommend medication, and that's just silly. Like kids can be evaluated. Kids can be evaluated. It's fine. You don't. And if the doctor says we want to put them on drugs, guess what? You can just say no. We'll get a second opinion. Um. Yeah, like Tiff, medicated forever here. It's okay. It is. It's fine. Um. Yeah, it'd be really cool to not have to take it, to not have to take medication. But, you know, brains are all different. Um, and sometimes is needed. You never know when they'll come out with something new that'll help you even more or be easier on your body. Science is magic sometimes. Well, science is uh, well, everything is magic until it is figured out, and then it's science. Yeah, Whitney, that treatment that you did seems kind of like one of those miraculous things. I had never heard of that. It sounds really cool. Like it sounds like really cool research behind it. Is what I mean. And I'm hope is it still working? It's still everything still seems okay. See, the mental stuff is like almost for me now. It's like I see people with uh, who live with spouses that have or friends or family that have spouses and loved ones that have I mean, one of my good friends and mentors when I was a kid who ran the Costa Indian Dancers, he looks like a walking dead person. His face on his left side is rotting flesh, his whole face. And he was a mechanic in the Air Force, worked on F 4 Phantoms. And when they would land on the strip where he was in Vietnam, uh, they were out there in coveralls, no protective equipment, and they were expected to service those screaming weasels and get them back out there bombing stuff. Well, all of the fluids in that plane, because it wasn't pressurized, it was on the ground. The plane was designed to always be in the air. All of the fluids just start leaking out, and lots of carcinogens, and it just would fall on his face and in his, on his coveralls, and no amount of showers would get that stuff out of his skin. So he's got a really rare form of cancer, likely caused by the carcinogens in jet fuel and all the different fuels in the F 4 Phantom. And they took his ear off in 2017 and replaced it with just skin. And he literally looks like a ghoul from Fallout, like the ghoul from Fallout, except for the nose part and everything. But he's got rotting flesh. He's in so much pain. I am grateful for the pain that I get because it could be worse. I could be in a lot more pain. So, disassociation over coping or whatever, coping in extremis. You got to take time. I guess this week for me is time to take the time to chill because for the last 3 weeks has been just yeah, like that. DSR injections. Everyone's chemistry and combinations of their yep. Um, that's great, Whitney. Fucking A, man. You consider it a miracle treatment for you. You were in dissociation nightmare before. Holding well, as long as you still engage in coping. Coping skills work easier now. I've noticed that too, and I don't. I attribute some of it to the EMDR that I did because, and also attribute some of it to my experience in January because honestly, uh, my personal belief is that like I'm here until I'm not, and I'm here for it because I can't even if I wanted to leave this world, leave this place. Uh, I'm not gonna get to go until I'm done, and I'm not done. And it's a simple, it's a very simplistic view. But after seeing what I saw, and by the way, if you have Spotify, there's a official Alan Watts podcast that is curated by his son. I highly recommend it, starting from episode 1. Um, you can get out of that podcast just in the first 8 episodes what took me, and that's 8 hours. You can get what I what took me about 200 hours to understand because it's so well curated and so poignant. So the Alan Watts podcast, I highly recommend. It's on YouTube and Spotify, I think. Get ready for BetterHelp commercials though, because they run them back to back, the front, middle, and back of every episode. Amy Jean. Witness, have you considered documenting your experience? Would love to hear or read about it. I'm trying to figure out if it would help my kid. Huh. Yeah, well, Amy, you've asked me to write a book or said I should write a book. Everybody says I'd write a book. Have you written about it or da 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 da? Well, have you written about your experience? I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be a bitch here, but I'm just saying. Ask a question like that. Why don't you write something? It can be hard. Yeah, Lorna, check out the podcast, the one that's curated by his son. It's freaking amazing. It really, really is, because it kind of cuts the. I hate to say cuts the fat with Alan Watts, because, he's a very when he would do his speeches, he always seemed to have a really good congruent point, but there was audience participation sometimes, and he would get off track because of the audience, because there was something they weren't getting. In this, it's curated to the point to where it's point, 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 and then there's always a before the audio plays, his son explains what sequentially was going on, which is very helpful. And I think that this podcast will become very popular and quoted and stuff more. I mean, people quote Alan Watts frequently, but I think that hammering these specific points on non-dualism and the Tao and Buddhism and Christianity and all that is going to be highly used. I think it's going to be used. Yeah. So, from now until Thursday, I got time on my side. And y'all got whatever y'all got this week. So do your due diligence and be here and present for it. And we'll see you next week. I will say I may not. It's possible. Just got to let y'all know now while y'all are all here. It's possible I may not broadcast next week. I have a friend coming in from Chicago to tour all the studios. And if I'm not here Monday, I'm not going to do a broadcast like this. I may do something live from New Orleans, but just letting you know not to freak out if I'm not here Monday. And I don't think y'all would, but based on past stuff, I'm just covering my bases. Xenu, live long and prosper. Tim and Bach and everybody, love y'all. Have a good week. It's Monday the 13th, 12:08. That is a 2-hour and 4-minute broadcast. It's all in Theta. That's in Theta. And I hit the wrong button. Seriously, live long, prosper.